And now your host, Richard Thomas.
Hello, and welcome to a special holiday edition of It's a Miracle. We've trimmed the tree, lit the menorah, and wrapped up some special gifts for you. First, an unexpected Christmas present brings true peace on earth to a family desperately in need of comfort and joy. John and Mary Hannison were the proud parents of 9 children. And while they loved all of them, it was their youngest, Timothy, they doted on. His sister Kathy remembers.
I was the youngest girl, and then here comes this little boy, and all the attention is being given to this little baby. I was quite jealous. No matter what he would do, he could get away with whatever he did wrong, only because he was a baby of the family.
His older sister Carol also gave Tim extra attention.
Tim was a mischievous little boy when he was young, just as most boys are. Tim was so energetic, and he just seemed to be so curious about the world.
And like any curious young boy, Tim was especially fascinated by his oldest brother, Jim.
I remember an incident when Tim was about 4 years old. I had been working on a car for several days, and I had put it up on cinder blocks. One day when I was working on it, I looked over and saw he had his little pedal car, and he had a big cinder block under it. And he was under there banging away with a wrench, and I says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm trying to fix my car because it's broke." He was very similar to myself, inquisitive about how does this work. He always wanted to learn everything about everything he could.
Tim's lively and inquisitive mind was a special joy to his mother, Mary.
My mom spent most of her time in the summer in the garden, and I remember Tim would always be following around like a little puppy out there, and she loved it when my brother would come out and help her out, and he'd bring her a watering can or go refill it.
I could tell that my mother and Tim had a special relationship. When they were together, the way that the love shone through their faces, when they would look at each other, you could see that there was a special bond between the two of them.
And that bond was never more apparent than during Christmas, a time of year the entire Hannison family looked forward to sharing together.
We were very, very close family. Tim and my other brothers and sisters would always love decorating the Christmas tree. It was pretty much one of the biggest highlights of our holiday.
Tim was very excited about Christmas. He loved the thought of Santa Claus coming and bringing him toys. He just loved the whole aura of Christmas. It's just a great time of year for him.
And it would be the joy of Christmas that would help ease the pain of a tragedy 23 years later. As Tim grew older, his curiosity about the world grew as well, and the days spent tinkering on cars with his brother set the stage for a new goal after college.
The movie Top Gun had just come out, and my brother came over one day and told me that I decided I want to become a pilot. And it seemed a light went off. That was his goal. And he was going to try everything he could in his lifetime to make that dream come true.
Through hard work and determination, Tim earned a spot in the Navy's flight school where he excelled, graduating second in his class.
This was fantastic to see him achieve something like that. It meant a lot to my mother. She was so excited about going down to see him graduate and get his wings. I could just see how proud she was. It was just a great event in her lifetime.
Tim's success in flight school earned him his choice of assignments, and in July of 1989, he reported for duty at Naval Air Station North Island in San Diego, California, where he quickly won the respect and admiration of his fellow servicemen.
Naval pilots are given nicknames, and my brother Tim's was Nixon. His fellow pilots had thought that he looked like a young Richard Nixon, and to honor my brother, they stenciled Nixon onto his helmet.
It was during this time that things began to heat up in the Persian Gulf.
I called him because I had gotten some misinformation from my brother John that he was going over to get ready to fly mission over to Desert Storm. He gets on the phone, he says, "Oh, no, Johnny got it wrong. I'm not going overseas. We're just practicing with Canada, and we're doing exercises over the ocean." That was the last time I ever spoke to him.
A few days later, the Hannison family received news that would change their lives forever.
One morning, my mother was at home, and 2 Navy men came to the door.
Are you Mr. and Mrs. Hennison?
Yes, we are.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel David Piccarelli.
She knew that something was wrong.
He's been involved in a helicopter crash off the coast of Oregon.
Tim was co-piloting his helicopter through maneuvers just off the Oregon coast when an engine failed. The crew turned back to the ship, but before they got there, the second engine also failed. After hours of searching, the Navy had still found no trace of the 3 men on board.
When I arrived at the house, the Navy personnel were still in the living room. My mother was sitting down. My heart just sank right down to my stomach, and deep down in my heart, I knew there wasn't much of a chance that he could have survived. You hope that they're gonna call and say they've got him, they found him, you know, they're okay. And the phone call never came.
By now, Navy salvage crews at the scene of the crash had located the wreckage. Commander Tom Cirillo participated in the recovery efforts.
The operation was mixed with a lot of high emotion and high anxiety, not knowing whether the bodies of the crew would be still in the aircraft or what condition they might be in. When an accident happens out at sea where there's no body to recover and return to the family for closure, it's very traumatic, very excruciatingly painful for them. The Navy attempts to notify family as soon as possible.
But 1 year after the accident, Tim's body still had not been recovered, and the Hannisons had no hope that it would ever be found.
Not having Tim's body back was the hardest thing.
Grenade! Aim! Fire! Fire! Fire!
It's just a terrible feeling. It's a terrible loss. And I think it affected my mom even more because my mom needed that closure.
When I saw my mother grieving, I knew that that was going to be the end of my mother. I knew that she would lose her will to live.
We have something special.
That Christmas, the family gathered once again. But instead of celebration, there was a struggle to fill the hole left by Tim's absence.
We had a big portrait made for my mother and father.
Oh, my. Oh, isn't this wonderful?
When they opened that, it was sad and happy at the same time. It was good to see him again, but he wasn't really there. It was just a portrait.
Merry Christmas, Timmy.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Without tangible remains, the Hannison family's anguish over Tim's death lingered.
My mom missed him very much. She slept next to his picture at night, and I think it was the last thing she would look at each night and the first thing that she would look at each morning. She was sad. She just didn't have the same life in her that she always had.
She had become more tired, and it wasn't long after that that she was diagnosed with liver cancer.
As Mary's hold on life weakened, her belief in heaven grew stronger.
How you doing, Mom?
Oh, Jim, it won't be long.
She knew that her life on earth here was close to an end. She truly believed she would see all of her family that had passed on, but especially see Tim.
Jimmy.
And at that point, I decided to ask her a question. If you're up there with Tim, there's any way you can send us a sign that you're with him and everything's okay, could you do it for us, please? And she says,
I'll try.
I will. I'll do that. I'll try.
Almost 3 years after Tim's disappearance, the family gathered once again, this time at the grave of their mother.
I love you, Mom.
As the family said goodbye, they couldn't help but think that they still had no place to say goodbye to Tim.
Never getting a body back, never being able to bury him, leaves an open door. And you always think that they're going to come home. And they don't.
And then, in November of 1993, almost 3 years after Tim's accident, a fishing boat off the coast of Oregon reeled in a miracle.
Hey, turn off the motor. We got something caught in the net. What do you make of that? Pilot's gear?
Tom Cirillo, Commanding Officer, HSL 43, may I help you? I received a call late November of '93 from the Coast Guard station up in the Pacific Northwest who told me that they had recovered a helmet from a fishing ship. They asked me if I thought it might be associated with the aircraft accident that happened in November of 1990. About 2 weeks later, the helmet showed up at our squadron. We inspected it, and it was obvious that it was Tim Hannison's helmet.
As Commander Cirillo researched the helmet's history, he realized what an incredible journey it had made.
The circumstances around it, the weather, the depth, the ocean currents, the fact that it ended up in a fishing net, the combination of all of those circumstances was quite remarkable.
When the Navy called and told us that they had found the helmet, my brother Jim told us that this was the answer to his request.
The emotion was elation that we finally have something of his to bring back home. It's like part of Tim is going to be coming home.
And just before Christmas, 1993, Commander Cirillo brought this special gift to the Hannison home.
Our family was very excited.
Mr. Hannison, I'm Commander Cirillo.
Welcome, come in.
Thank you.
It was the thing we've been waiting for all these years.
Mr. Hannison and family, on behalf of the United States Navy and the battle cats of HSL 43, it is my honor to return Tim's helmet to you and your family.
Thank you. I accept this as a remembrance of my son.
We each took turns holding on to it and, looking at it. Finally, Kathy, we got something back.
It was an emotional moment for the entire family.
We love you, Tim. We love you. I was just totally amazed. This is something special. This is Tim. He's here. And I just felt that things were going to be better for the whole family after this.
Such good shape. How did it survive?
And then we asked the date that they had found it, and they said they thought it was November 28th, and we said, that's Tim's birthday. And right then, we just felt it was a miracle and that it was a sign from my mother sending Tim's helmet and saying that everything was okay and she was with Tim.
That's the best Christmas present we could have gotten.
You ain't kidding,
know?
Peter.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Tim.
Merry Christmas, Tim.
Merry Christmas, Tim.
This was a gift from God, a promise from my mother that she was with our brother. It's just too far from being just chance. The boat being in the right place at the right time. The net not at the bottom of the ocean, not dragging. 200 miles away from the crash site, 50 miles out from shore. This is proof that the Spirit lives on and that one day again we will be together as a family.
I think this experience has changed me and my family to make us stronger. It gave us more to believe in than ever, because even though you have beliefs and faith, when you're given something tangible and a real sign, it becomes all the stronger.
Without a doubt, it was the best Christmas present we could have ever gotten. It's definitely a sign from my mom and Tim that they're together.
It's been several years since the Hannison family received their best Christmas gift ever. And with the holidays approaching, we thought it was a good time to speak to them again about the miracle they experienced in their lives. And so they join us now from Lockport, New York. Hello there.
Hello, Richard.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
First of all, I want to thank you for sharing your wonderful story with us. I'm sure it's changed the way you look at Christmas dramatically.
Well, it's made Christmas a lot happier, and the family's enjoying it a lot more than they had previously. And it's just a wonderful feeling to have a nice Christmas again and to know that the spirit of my mom and Tim are with us all the time.
Yes, it must be very comforting. Is there something that you'd like other people to take away from your story?
For us, I hope it gives other people the same feeling that there is another life after this life, that this isn't the end, that our spirit never dies. It just goes to another time and space.
Well, that's a wonderful message. And actually, we've got something more for you to pass along. Wendy's Restaurants has arranged to donate $1,000 to your favorite charity.
Well, that's great.
We'd appreciate that.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any idea who you'd like the money to go to?
Boy,
that's a tough one.
The
I
tough
think
one.
For me, those funds to go to probably a lot of the children that come from dysfunctional homes that don't always know the joy of Christmas or holiday times. You know, there's always children that aren't going to get gifts or aren't going to have a happy Christmas. And if that money can be used to, you know, give
Bring
them bring a little happiness to them.
For them.
I think that's a perfect answer, and we'll see that it gets done. Once again, I want to thank you for taking time out to be with us during this holiday season.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you.
Part of the joy of Christmas is surprising our family and friends with those perfect gifts that they'd never expect. And in return, we have the fun of watching their faces when they realize what's hidden under the wrapping paper. Well, you're about to watch someone open a gift they never expected. And believe me, the look on their face is a joy to behold. Mary and John George have been in love for over a quarter of a century. And it began the moment they met.
The first time I saw John, it was like in the movies. I don't know, it was just bingo for me.
We hit it off very well. Took her out several times and said, yeah, this is the girl that I want to marry.
And a year later, they were wed. To mark the occasion, Mary gave John a very special ring.
A white gold band. And I had inscribed in it, all my love, all my life, with our wedding date in it. And I had always wanted one just like it.
And so on their 5th anniversary, John presented Mary with a matching ring.
The inscription, all my love, all my life, really kind of sums up our marriage. It's a symbol of my love for him and his love for me.
From that day on, the ring never left Mary's hand.
If I had to switch it from one hand to another, I would put my fingers together so it never ever slipped off my hand.
24 years later, Mary was visiting her sister Cindy in Bradenton, Florida, and they'd planned a day at the beach.
Wish you were going with us.
All right, I worked all night, I'm tired. I'm a nurse and I work at 7 at night to 7 in the morning. And I worked the night before, so Mary Ann and my husband Reuben went on to the beach.
We hit the water right away. The temperature was probably around 80, and the Gulf of Mexico is very salty, so it's very buoyant, and you can play a lot in the water.
Mary continued to enjoy the water until, a few minutes later, the unthinkable happened.
Oh my God! Reuben! What's the matter? I lost my ring!
I suddenly realized that my ring was gone. I was just devastated. I was just devastated. It's like losing a part of you.
We looked for the ring, and there was no trace of it.
We tried to, feel it with our hands and our fingers and our toes, just going over the same area over and over again.
We continued to search and search, but deep in my heart, I knew that we were never going to find this ring. Mary was so upset, she was actually crying, and I've never seen Mary cry about anything.
I wore that ring for 27 years, and now it's gone. Nothing could replace it. Nothing could replace the ring that I'd lost.
When Mary Ann Reuben came in from the beach, she looked very upset. What's the matter, Mary?
I lost my wedding ring.
I could never imagine losing something that precious to me like Mary Ann did. I'd be very devastated as she was. I felt very bad for her, very bad. Because we are so close, it was almost like if I had lost the ring, and I know she would feel just as bad for me.
The next day, Cindy returned with Mary to the beach to continue the search.
We walked in the water, felt with our feet and everything, and just hoping some miracle it would come to the shore and we would just find it laying there. But it was just gone.
Mary would have to return home to New York without her precious ring.
I promised her, Mary, I'll find your ring. I says, I'll look on the beach, I'll look everywhere. I won't give up until I find you that ring, Mary.
Look, I won't keep you long, but I just wondered if you'd found the ring yet.
Mary was still very upset even after she got home, constantly calling me, worrying about it. And I says, Mary, I will find it. I just haven't found it yet. I'll keep looking, Mary. I kept going to the beach day after day. I wanted to find it so bad for her.
Cindy felt in her heart that somehow, some way she was going to find this ring, or some way it was just going to appear just out of nowhere. I said, that's a real good thought, Cindy, but I don't think so.
And then, days later, an offhand remark to a friend produced a surprising result.
One day, me and Reuben were talking, and the subject came up of my dad metal detecting.
He has a metal detector?
And I told him my dad finds a lot of treasures out on the beach with his metal detector.
Danny Stott worked at the hospital with Cindy, and she approached him that night.
Listen, Reuben tells me your dad has a metal detector. I said, this is real special to me. I am looking for a white gold band. And it's got an inscription, all my love, all my life.
I told her I would check with my dad to see if he had time to look for it and give him the description. It's just a white gold band, has an inscription in it, all my love, something or another.
And I said, all my love, all my life? And he said, yes, that's it. How did you know? And then I told him that I've had the ring for about 2 weeks.
It was an astonishing coincidence. No other treasure hunter on the beach would ever have been able to find the owner of the ring with just the simple inscription inside.
finding a ring like that, you know, with that inscription in there, they had to have strong feelings for the person who gave it to them. And I know it had to be a heartbreaker for them to lose it.
I guess maybe it.
Oh my gosh, Danny, you found it. You found it. Oh, thank you. I says, she's gonna die. She's just gonna die. That I found the ring after all.
But the best part was yet to come.
Hello?
John, it's me, Cindy. Now I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't want you to yell or jump up and down or do anything crazy.
Yeah?
I found Mary's ring. Yes.
Okay.
All right, listen, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send it to her for Christmas.
Yeah?
You make sure she opens it up Christmas Eve.
Okay. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.
Mary Ann calls me 2-3 days later, and I've got it in my hot little hand, you know. Cindy, did you find the ring? Oh, Mary, I'm so sorry. I mean, I was almost laughing, telling her I was so sorry, you know.
She didn't want to spoil the special surprise she was planning.
I wanted to find something very special to put the ring on or in. She loves angels, I love angels. And I said, this is it. It seemed like I was a kid again. I couldn't wait for Christmas Eve because I knew she was going to open that ring.
Finally, in Peoria, the big moment arrived.
Here, you gotta open this first.
Can't I wait till Christmas morning, you know?
No, you gotta open that one first.
And he had a camera in his hand. And I said, what's the camera for? And he says, well, I just thought you might like a picture of this. And I said, okay, fine. So I opened the present, and it was a little angel. And I told John, I said, oh, that's very pretty. And he said, look at it again.
Is it my ring? Oh my God, oh my God.
It was my ring. It had found its way back to me. And the elation I felt was almost beyond words.
Put it on, put it on.
You know, once John slipped that ring back on my finger, it just felt like an old friend had come home.
1,000 miles away, Cindy waited anxiously by the phone.
Hello?
Cindy!
Hey, Mary.
Where did you find it?
We found it on the beach with a metal detector. And I said, I'll tell you what, though, I've had it for 2 months. You've had it for 2 months? I said, yes, I have.
How she kept her mouth shut, I'll never know. I will never know.
Oh, baby, I love you. Thank you so much, honey.
I love you too, sweetie. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. That had been about the best Christmas present I could have ever given her. I wished I could have been there to see her. I'd have been crying.
This was absolutely the best Christmas I've ever had or ever will have. It was, you know, a Christmas miracle.
They say that Santa knows when you've been sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So, would you be surprised to learn that Santa can also predict the future? Well, the family you're about to meet was very surprised and very grateful. When Jimmy Vasquez met his future wife, Alicia, he wasted no time in telling her that he wanted a family.
I had always wanted a child. Little boy, little girl didn't matter to me.
And his dream quickly became Alicia's as well.
It was something about him that as soon as we met each other, we just knew right off that we wanted a child really, really bad.
The couple were married in September of 1993, and soon Alicia became pregnant. But because she was diabetic, serious complications ensued.
I ended up getting really ill, and I developed toxemia, and ended up doing an emergency C-section, is what they did.
Their dream child may have arrived early, but it only increased the love they felt for the baby boy they named Jimmy Jr.
When I saw Jimmy for the first time, it was unbelievable. The hairs were sticking up in the back of my head. I was thinking already ahead of all the things that I was going to be doing with him.
But their future plans were interrupted by more immediate concerns when their doctor informed them that Jimmy had a slight heart murmur.
He said that we shouldn't worry about it. As time will go, we'll see what happens, what will develop. And we left it at that.
Immediately after bringing him home, we started having complications. He was very sick all the time, colds, congestions, upper respiratory infections.
Little Jimmy's health continued to fail, and ultimately the family was referred to the Cook Children's Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas, where they met pediatric cardiac care specialist Dr. Hudson Allender.
I met Jimmy Vasquez when he was about 6 or 7 months old.
His chest beating a little harder.
He was a little fellow that had been previously seen at another medical center with a heart murmur.
Well, his murmur is pretty harsh, and you can hear it very well.
I examined him, and it confirmed that indeed there was a murmur, which is a swishy sound of abnormal flow within the heart and the blood vessels.
It's a little different than just a VSD, and I can actually feel it.
Dr. Allender immediately recommended a series of tests that would reveal how serious little Jimmy's condition was.
So we'll go ahead and repeat that EKG and compare.
He said, let us get results, let us discuss everything. We'll call you in about a week.
And then we did a sonogram of his heart called the echocardiogram, which showed that he had a hole in his heart in addition to significant blockage of flow from the right side of his heart to his lungs. After conferring with a couple of my colleagues, all agreed that this is something that required surgery.
I'll get it, that's okay.
When Dr. Allender finally contacted the Vasquez family with his diagnosis,
Hello?
they were unprepared for what they were about to learn.
Dr. Allender? He said, Jimmy's really, really sick. If we don't do the surgery now, he said Jimmy's heart could actually just about explode on him.
What's wrong?
Jimmy's gonna have surgery. He's gonna be having open heart surgery.
So that was a shock to me and Alicia. And we didn't know what to say.
Oh, Jimmy. You don't expect this stuff. You think it's something else or you're having a bad dream.
When you get there, he'll find something else.
And that's one of the points I think that we hit bottom, that I said, I just don't know if I can take this. I don't know if I can handle it.
But with little Jimmy's life at risk, they began making preparations for his imminent surgery.
Well, welcome. Nice to see you. You made it okay. Sit down.
When we arrived at the hospital, Dr. Allender discussed things that could happen, and he explained to us the surgery could go 50-50. Jimmy could survive, and we could run into some complications that could be devastating also.
This is where they actually cut the sternum open, expose the heart, stop the heart, and put it on the heart-lung machine.
I got real emotional at the time, and I thought, here's this little baby that's just trying to make it in the world, and I don't know if I'm going to see him again.
See you later, okay? His parents bravely faced the possibility that they might never see their child alive again. And even the joyful sights and sounds of Christmas could not ease their despair.
It's like the best time there is. It's when family's together. And
I was a person that was big time into Christmas. And I looked at my husband and I told him, if he doesn't make it through this tomorrow, we're not going to have little Jimmy for Christmas.
I don't know. I mean, do you think maybe they'd let us take him to get a picture? I mean, at least.
So that's when we did decide to ask permission to take little Jimmy from the hospital.
Excuse me, sir. We were wondering if we could ask a favor.
And our main goal was to kind of just get him out, kind of give us a little family time away from the hospital, and to try to go out and seek a Santa Claus to take a picture of him with little Jimmy.
Thanks. He'll call us in just a minute.
Thank you.
You bet.
They approved for us to leave and said, you know, you need to be back by a certain time because we need to start prepping tonight.
Luckily, there was a shopping mall nearby.
Merry Christmas, Riley. There's your mom.
With a merry old Santa asking one child after another what they wanted for Christmas.
Santa Claus, okay?
We were standing in line. There was a lot of people waiting.
There's just too many people.
And Santa Claus waved at us.
He's talking to us?
And I kind of looked around, and you know, there's other people in line, so you're just kind of like, well, you know, I don't want anybody to get mad.
Excuse me.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Can I hold him?
He held him for a few minutes, and he kind of like knelt down to him closer with his head, and he told him, he said,
You're going to have a great heart for Christmas. Everything is going to be just fine.
And I looked at Alicia kind of like, when did you have time to talk to Santa Claus? And she kind of looked at me kind of like, well, motioned to me and said, did you talk to Santa Claus?
That is incredible. How did you know that?
And he just looked at us and smiled with this big old smile.
Santa Claus knows everything.
I actually saw the twinkle in his eye. He said, would you like to take pictures with me? And I said, yes, we would. And I told him, but we'll get back in line. He said, no, you need to get back to the hospital, so go ahead and do it.
Jimmy!
And again, I thought to myself, how does he even know we were at the hospital?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We did return back to the hospital. The whole time we just kept telling each other, how did he know? How did he know? And I think Jimmy and I just nearly drove each other crazy trying to ask each other, how did he know?
The next morning, Jimmy and Alicia each spent a moment alone with their baby prior to the surgery.
It was very emotional because you don't know. You don't know if you're going to see him again. But I remember thinking about Santa Claus too, and thinking it's Christmas, and it was like we could not hold him enough. We couldn't even just let go of him.
And Alicia and me were practically in tears when they rolled him off into surgery.
As surgery went on, we were in the waiting room, waiting and waiting and waiting for several hours.
A lot of things were going through my mind. Fear, doubt. Was Jimmy going to be okay?
I felt like a little girl that's lost somewhere, and I didn't know where to go, what to do, what to expect. It was very, very difficult. Finally, Dr. Allender came into the waiting area and sat down and told us surgery did not go as expected.
They actually went a little bit better than expected.
He said he did wonderfully, and he looked at me and he said, we got a little miracle baby here. He said, Jimmy didn't do anything that I told you.
I think the next thing is go see him. Y'all ready? Let's go in the ICU and take a look-see and see this old guy. And remember,
we did walk down to the area where they take him out, and he was laid out. They had a little bandage on his chest. And we looked at him and we cried. We were happy. Just felt like screaming like crazy and felt really, really good. He told us, he said, things came out really wonderful.
Little Jimmy not only survived, he flourished and was well enough to leave the hospital just 4 days later.
Once I found out everything was going to be okay, Santa Claus crossed my mind.
Bye.
Thank you. And on the way home, I said, let's stop by the same mall and let's just go in and see him and tell him, thank you. How did you know?
Come on. There it is, right there. Come on. Let's go tell him.
But when they arrived, they were in for a surprise.
Thank you, don't we? Gosh, look.
That was not the Santa Claus. It was not him. Excuse me, miss. So I asked the young lady.
Yes, we were wondering, where's the Santa Claus that was here last Wednesday?
This is the same Santa that was here last week.
We started actually kind of arguing with her, and I said, you must have had somebody different here the other day.
No, this is the only Santa that we've had.
So she got the mall director, and he explained to us right off the bat. He said, no, this is Santa Claus we've had since day one.
And we argued and everything else, and they just swore up and down that that was the same, and I kept saying, that's not him. I even looked at him. There was no twinkles. There was nothing. And I just remember looking at each other and we said it was an angel. That's what it was. It had to be an angel because that's not him.
You ready for Christmas?
Today, Jimmy is a happy, healthy 7-year-old who loves baseball, Power Rangers, and like every other 7-year-old, the magic of Christmas.
It was something out of this world, unbelievable. This total stranger, angel, Santa Claus, whatever, came and said, everything's gonna be okay. Was he God sent? Was he Santa Claus? We won't know that. But it's a miracle that something like this would happen to someone like me, my wife, my little boy. And well, like I said, all I have to say is thank you, wherever you are.
That's our show for now. We'd like to thank everyone who shared their miraculous stories with us. And from all of us here at It's a Miracle, have a happy holiday and a joyous new year. Until next time, I'm Richard Thomas. Goodbye.